And by the time I got home, I literally did not want to be Jewish anymore. Like, I literally hated myself for being Jewish. Yeah. Like, it was that bad. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've learned that... I mean, I came home bawling, like, crying. Like, once I got home, I stepped in that door on the ground crying. Yeah.
And she said this without provocation at all. She was like, you don't really, like, act black. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean by that?
That's actually just blowing my mind.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to In My Opinion. Hope everyone's doing great today. A lot of crazy things going on right now. It's November 4th right now. We're recording this, so elections are in full swing. Who knows what the hell going on with that? Yeah. But yeah, we're back again today for another video, and today we're gonna be talking about a little more, I guess, sensitive topic. Not really that sensitive, but we're gonna be talking about our personal experiences involving different things that have to do with like race. So not necessarily directly racism, but it can be different stereotypes that both of us have experienced, or situations that we both experienced where race or like race relations came into play or impacted our actions or stuff like that, or experiences. Yeah. So yeah, so for the first thing I want to talk about, is, if you know me personally, I definitely talk about this a lot, which is the idea of different stereotypes that surround Black people and the way that we view those stereotypes. So one of the main stereotypes is like when people are called, like, I mean, this is something that I've been called, like, where you say like you're like acting white for different reasons, but that's the main thing that I want to talk about first, and that's something that like has really bothered me and annoyed me for like my whole life, and the reasons behind it are even worse, that make it even worse. So when I was younger, coming up, all that stuff, I've been getting good grades for like pretty much my whole life. My parents, like my family, like instilled like the value of like education on me from like a young age. So that's like how I was like, I got good grades. I spoke somewhat properly, but not even that properly, just like really like ghetto, I guess. And so it's actually funny. When I lived in New York, I didn't get called that at all, which is funny. Well, I guess also I went to like a charter school, so it's like a little different. But then when I came to South Florida, when I moved to South Florida, a lot of people said that I was acting white, or that I was like white or not really Black because of those things.
It's like a Broward thing.
And I mean, I don't think it's not just a Broward thing, but it's just like weird that dynamic. Like, you move from a city, you move from Brooklyn to a suburb, and then that's when it happens. So it's a little bit funny that's how that played out. But yeah, so a lot of people would say that I acted white for these things, and I had this one kid. This man called me an Oreo. Like, he actually called me an Oreo. I guess this is my sob story. He said I was an Oreo.
Who is this?
That was in like 7th grade.
He's a bitch.
This kid called me an Oreo. It's like I'm like white on the inside and black on the outside, which, all right, bro. Whatever.
That's actually terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And the point is, this kid called me Oreo. He said I was black on the outside, white on the inside. I'm like, all right, bro, whatever that means. And basically, anytime I've ever heard someone say that, it's always a red flag in my head. It's always a red flag. Mm-hmm. Like that one time, I mean, you remember that one time when I was it was you and that girl, and we were at the mall, and then they said that to me.
Oh,
yeah, you remember that. So,
I'm sorry, because I still talk to her after that. I mean, actually, you know what's crazy? What? That week is the week I stopped talking to her.
Hey man, life knows it. It knows.
Yo, fuck you. Okay. I actually forgot she did that.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry, but I don't remember having such a problem with it at the time.
Yeah,
and I think it was because I was in love. I'm sorry, my bad, bro. Yo, I forgot she did that.
I remember after that you came back to me. We talked about it a little bit after, and you're like, yeah, that's really fucked up or whatever. So right, you good? Like, I'm not like angry at you about that. But anyway, yeah, this is like the first time I really like hung out with this girl. Like, and any like real set. Like, I never really like talked to her like for an extended period of time before.
Yeah.
And she said this without provocation at all. She was like, you don't really like act Black. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean by that?
That's actually blowing my mind. No, but the thing is, that was the last day we hung out, and then really? And then we stopped talking after that.
Okay.
But dead ass, she did say that.
Yeah, she was like, and this is so weird because like
we were in the car together. We were just driving.
No, it was in the store. I remember. I
Oh.
really remember it vividly. Like I remember, 'cause I was like, why would you say that? Like, imagine you meet someone, you're like, you're not a stereotype, are you? Like, I mean, I know she didn't say that exactly, but it's like it's like basically what she's saying. Like, oh, you're not a negative stereotype of black people. Kind of weird, isn't it? Like, you're not a failure. It's a bit odd. And like,
It's almost like
what does that
it's almost
mean?
like a weird compliment, but it's not like
No, it's definitely it's a
no, it's not a compliment at all. No, but it's so weird. It's like, yo, you're not the usual black person who's a failure. Oh my god!
Yeah,
like,
they're very backhanded compliment
Yeah.
rooted in like undercover racism
Oh
that
my
they don't really
God.
think.
just saw her the other day at work.
They don't even really think about. So yeah, that was pretty bad. But anyway, the whole point is there's this idea that real blackness somehow is defined by speaking in a certain way or acting in a certain way, you know. And the thing is, most of these things that make quote unquote a black person are negative stereotypes. Like,
yeah.
like it's
No.
and it's worse actually when other black people have said it to me, because this has happened. Other black people have said it to me or implied that to me. It's worse because it's like, bro, like we're both black. Like what do you like you're imposing negative stereotypes on black people they apply to you too. Like you realize that, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying like, wow, you get good grades, you're white, or wow, you talk like you're like well spoken, you act white. Like, bro, you're literally black. Like, do you not see the problem with that? Do you not see like what that means?
And there's also like the reverse with it, that white people will be called like, say like they act black because they are like not listening to teachers and getting bad grades and trying to do stuff and do bad stuff. Like, oh, you're acting. Stop trying to act black because he's not being a regular human in society or whatever. Like a good human in society. Like,
or like so anything like
like
that has to do with like I know what you mean.
It's like saying, oh, you act white by just saying white is the good and being black is bad. And
yeah, that's the or when we say good or bad, it's necessarily good because in their view, usually it's funny because in the view of the person that's saying it, usually being white is bad.
Yeah.
But like societally, generally, it's like the general implications of the assumption are that black people are unruly, they don't listen to authority, they are less likely to succeed, and white people are put together this that. But like from when it comes from a black person that's saying that to you, they're usually saying they usually see it from like a perspective like, oh, you're like trying to act better than me, or you're trying to like be like it's better than me, but that's like negative, like it's a negative thing. And then from white people who say it, it's usually just like some stupid like revealing their like hidden racism. So yeah, there's that. But that's always something that I've had a problem with, and obviously that's bad. But that's my personal experience that I've had with those things. And now I've gotten a lot better at like checking people with that. Like when I was saying with that girl, I checked her. I was like, so you're saying that I said basically like what I just said. I was like, so you're saying that I don't meet a negative stereotype? And she was kind of like flustered. She was kind of like not really saying anything.
I don't remember at all.
Yeah,
I remember saying it though.
Yeah, but I remember she was like kind of like flustered. She didn't really like have anything to say. She like didn't really say anything, you know. Yeah. So like there wasn't really anything else.
I mean, she never really thought when she speak, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she was necessarily racist, but like she definitely had some going. She definitely had that vision going on in the back of her mind. So I don't know. You can take with that what you will, but the point is, I had to check her a little bit, and I'm better at checking people.
But people say being called black is better than being called white.
Yeah, I see what you're trying to say.
And
which
so
is kind
like,
of what I was hinting at before.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna add on to it.
Yeah, go for it.
So the opposite, like we were just saying, is being called white is like an insult, and like it's just adding.
Whoa.
And it's not racism at its core, but it's another form of it because it's just back and forth of us saying being black is bad and white is good, but then being white is an insult. And do you want to say something before I go into the story?
Yeah. I think there are scenarios where it is like a situation of like someone being racist or prejudiced toward like white people, but I also think that like it's more generally it's like it's because of more generally it's because of a misguided like values, right? Like people will say that the black stereotype is cool because, you know, Hollywood, this, like culture, rappers or whatever, have like formed them to think that like being like from the hood is like cooler than being from a suburb. Being like struggling, all these things are like cool or like good.
Yeah.
And that goes for like both white people and black people. They like think that.
Oh yeah.
So I think that sometimes when you say like white is like as an insult, it's kind of like uncool, but not necessarily an act of like racism or prejudice because it's less of them saying that like white people are bad and more just that like the culture that they've like ingrained in their head is that like this thing that is really not good. You know, being poor, generally I think we can agree, being poor is not the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Right? So, but their like values, the way they set them up, became kind of backwards. And because of that backwards value system, they have decided that being white in this context is not cool. But I don't think it's necessarily in those situations. I don't think it's like really racism or something like that.
But if someone's just like acting really dumb and like doing stupid shit, oh, you're acting so white. That's I mean maybe
I think. Again, I think you. I mean, I'm assuming you have specific examples of that. I think you should.
Yeah, that's why I think it's more of personal experience.
Yeah, I think you should go into your personal experience instead of like making like general statements. I don't really know if that's true.
Well,
that like just I mean, just like go into your like personal experience.
Well, for me, I mean, I've always grown up with a lot more friends that were black. It just kind of naturally happened. It's not like I just choose.
Yeah, I mean,
who's
it is what it is. Just
it's just how it happens.
Just say that happened.
Love you, homie. Anyways, so obviously I was always kind of the odd one out in how I was the only white one, and like I always felt more aggression towards me, not only because I was just white, but I definitely felt like there was something there because I wasn't black.
Right. Okay.
And then I definitely got the insult a lot. If I said something dumb or did something dumb, I mean we're kids, everyone does it, but it's like you're so white, or I say something crazy, you're so white, and you're white, and like, and for like that to happen,
but like they were all doing the same type of things, right?
Yeah.
So like, what was their like? What would you say the reaction was if like someone else in the group did it, like from the rest of the group?
If someone else did it, they're just gonna either get on them, but like as the insult of being white, it makes you feel like you don't want to be white.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
And you're like, you look at yourself and you're like, is being white the reason why I'm dumb or something?
Is that what you thought?
Well, no, I have a different story for that, but not for that specific thing.
Okay.
We can talk about that also. Right. But for most people and stuff like that, it's like, is being white dumb? But like the other thing is like you kind of makes you want to be more like everyone else. And I think at the time I did want to be black, just so I could fit more in with everyone. But I always knew, like, no matter how close you could get, I always felt like there's something there in the way because I was white. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not with obviously all my friends, like you. Yeah. I never feel that with you, but a good amount of them, that's what I always felt. Mm-hmm. And like we could bring up that, like, I mean, it's kind of almost fact that like people do go towards and hang out more with their own race.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about how like.
Yeah, so I mean, for one, there is an element of like the quote unquote like black experience in America that is shared.
Yeah.
And there is that, but I think that what we're talking about is more like beyond that in a way. Like there's more to it than just that, because there is like to some extent that view that there is a shared experience between black people, right? Mm-hmm. But just in general, people obviously tend to go towards people that have similar values to them, similar cultures to them, similar mindsets, all these things. And it just so happens that cultures and values usually tie in with race. So that's why, you see obviously like if you go in like school, Hispanic people are usually all together. Well, usually the specific groups are like from like immigrants usually. Mm-hmm. There's like American black people and there's like Haitian black people and there's like Jamaican black people and there's like white people. It's like not necessarily like immigrants, but like more based on like values and like shit that they like, stuff like that. So the point is, you always want to go. People usually always go around the people that they are familiar with, and a lot of times we have this like we feel like we are connected to somebody because of these things. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe sometimes we break down the values and we just see them as just the race and like I relate to you because of this. So then when you're in this group where you feel like you don't belong, that's something that happens, and that's definitely not good at all. And I don't think that that's something that should be overlooked. Like I think that's definitely a valid thing that a lot of people feel.
That like the main focus of it was saying when I was being white was just like too much, and I never felt like I could get across that barrier.
Yeah.
And obviously that shouldn't be like that, and I don't really know like the reasoning for it.
I mean, I said,
maybe it's just those maybe it was just those people I was around.
Yeah, it could also be that. It could also be that, but I think like having that gap is one thing, right? The shared experience gap or whatever you say, like there's that, which is one thing, and then there's like the like making fun of like the using white as an insult. That's a separate thing I feel like, which is like in itself like obviously condemnable. Like it's not a good thing by itself. That gap probably exists for like every a similar gap probably exists in any situation. I think, like, there's been times where I've hung out with, or like been around people like a lot like Hispanic, something like that, right? And maybe I'm like the only black person. There's like a lot of Hispanic, something like that, and I've definitely felt that gap the same way. You know, there's obviously a very distinct like cultural thing that you feel like you don't really get over, or like you're probably not gonna like be in a group. You know, one-on-one, it doesn't matter. But when you're in that group, you feel like there's something that you're not going to be able to cross.
Yeah.
But it's another thing if, like, there's, like, racism involved. Yeah. You know, if they're getting on me, using me as, like, that's, like, the, you know, the scapegoat, or just, like, the thing to get on, because everyone else feels united, and it's just me. That's a separate thing, which is obviously bad no matter what.
Yeah.
But those gaps, they happen sometimes, and I think that they're more they're not necessarily something that needs to be, like, fixed, per se.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of trying to say.
Oh, okay.
And, like, but also, I mean, at the time we were just kind of kids, middle school, some high school, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's whatever. But not, and like I said, not everyone would say that, like, oh, not everyone would say, oh, you're acting white, you're acting whatever, both ways.
Right.
But it's that, like, no one ever, like, goes to stop it. One person would say it, and then everyone around would be laughing or kind of agree and stuff, and that's what really hits. Because even though, like, this other person might not, like, say to your face or whatever, and they're laughing, you're like, damn, like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. And it kind of just hits you, like, so I guess this is what everyone thinks of me.
Yeah. No, that's definitely bad. That's why I don't like when people, like, say things like, you know, black people can't be racist or stuff like that. You know, because, like, this stuff happens. Like, it's not something that just doesn't happen.
I mean, I could also just say, like, from a good time from middle school to high school, I did not choose the best of friends.
Yeah,
there's obviously some friends that were good.
Yeah, of course. There's always the thing of like specific people, but my point is that like it's possible, and like those things clearly seem to hurt to some extent, right? Mm-hmm. And even if they didn't hurt, that doesn't mean that they're right or good. Mm-hmm. So you said before that there was like an example where you felt like that made you really be like, I don't want to be like white.
It wasn't that. It was for being Jewish, actually.
Okay, so that's a good one. We
could say that.
Yeah, talk about that.
If some people didn't know, I'm half Jewish, half Christian. You know, mom, dad, each separate one. So I'm both. And to me, I've never picked a side on either one I'm really going to be. I'm kind of just there. So I just consider myself both.
Is there really a viewpoint on being...
It's not a viewpoint, but there's definitely more negative viewpoints on being Jewish than being Christian.
Oh, well.
Like that,
well, yeah.
I would say.
More than being Christian, yeah. But I don't know how prevalent that might be. Because, I mean, Christian, like...
Yeah.
An overwhelming majority.
Yeah, so... I mean, there's definitely just things about it. And I was both. And when people asked me, I would always say, like, yes, I'm Christian and Jewish, both. I didn't care. I was okay with being both.
Okay.
But, I mean, I've always been made fun of a little bit here and there for being Jewish. And I've never understood that. Because people have always just, like I'll tell people, I've had a couple people, like, be like, I'm Christian and Jewish. And they're like, no, you're Jewish. I'm like,
what?
All right, thank you. I'm like,
so it's not really like, not necessarily insult, but it's kind of like, what? Like, what do you mean?
That's not the main story, but it's just like, that's also one. They're always just like, but like, if I say something about being Christian, I just don't bring up being Jewish, like, don't forget you're Jewish.
Are these like other like people your age, or people like just no matter what, like just like maybe family members or something like that?
Our age, yeah.
Okay.
No,
right, I didn't know that.
But I have no problem being Jewish.
I mean, obviously. It seems so. Yeah. But I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that people would say that.
Yeah, and I've always had little things here and there, but, you know, it never bothered me. No. But then there was this one day, this bit, okay, we might have to cut that out, but just the experience it gave me as a child, like, you. Because I was in 6th grade, and he's an 8th grader. Okay. And I'm walking home, right? And he has another kid that I don't know. And
I don't know who this kid is.
Oh, yeah, I haven't told you the story. And they're way ahead of me. And I know I don't fuck with them. So what I do, put my headphones in, I only had one song on my iPod. I listened to the same song all the way home.
Damn,
and the whole time,
struggle.
it was a struggle. I remember too, like a Fast and Furious song. Anyways,
what song? It's very important.
Come
on, you're on the clock.
Like, we can't do this right now.
Which song? Which song, bro?
It was from Fast and Furious 6, I think. That soundtrack was live.
I'm not gonna lie, I never listened to it, so I don't know.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
And the whole time, I noticed them trying to wave me down and heckle my name because my headphones were ass and they were broken, so I could hear them. But I still didn't pay attention to it until finally they slowed down and caught up to me. And dead ass.
Oh, they were walking too.
Yeah, they walked home. Those are my neighbors. They're walking home.
Okay.
And the whole way home, I was just getting bullied out the ass for being Jewish. And I was doing my hardest to make it seem like being Jewish was okay. And cool, I guess. Like, I would say, like, oh, I'm Jewish. Like, I technically get 2 holidays, Hanukkah and Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Like that,
and, like, stuff like that. And I was constantly doing that. The whole time, like, oh, you're Jewish. Blah, blah, blah. I don't remember all of it, but they were talking hellish shit about me. I mean, I'll give you the outcome of what happened. Okay, so I got all the way home listening to them the whole time about this. Mm-hmm. And by the time I got home, I literally did not want to be Jewish anymore. Like, I literally hated myself for being Jewish. Yeah. Like, it was that bad. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've learned that... I mean, I came home bawling, like, crying. Like, once I got home, I stepped in that door on the ground crying. Damn. My mom came over, and she was like, what's wrong? And she had to give me the talk saying, like, don't let me do that shit. Like, your grandpa's a hard-working man. He's Jewish. But then since then, I've realized that I hit a point so low then that I wasn't okay with myself.
Yeah, no,
and being okay with who I am. And since then, I've always been like, no, this is who I am, and I'm going to be okay with it. This is what I do, and that. And, like, the point of that, the whole point of that story was, like, that shit of getting people to feel a certain way for the way they are. Mm-hmm. It's just so toxic in the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, that's definitely, like, that's, like, a bad experience. I can't believe, like, you never told me that before. I can't believe you never told me that before. But, like, yeah, that's, like, definitely...
It's not like a fun experience.
I know, but I'm just, like, surprised I didn't, like, even, like, hear about this in some way. But, yeah, anyway, that's, like, that's, like, some bad stuff. That's, like, some, like, straight up just racism.
Yeah, like...
And, like, I literally, like... I feel like I'm lucky enough to not have experienced something like that.
But that happens to, like, a lot of people, and especially black people, because, you know, they get it the worst from all these racist people.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, I feel like I definitely heard a lot of situations where people have, like, especially black women, by the way. But yeah, like, I know a lot of people, like, a lot of, like, black people that have gone through those situations where, like, you know, you don't like yourself. Like, that's, like, that self-hate. And, like, it's like, you gotta, like, also remember, like, you getting over it is a huge thing. Like, that's a good thing. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's a lot of people can't get over it, and a lot of people let that sow in their minds. That's when you get stuff like in the black community, like people who just like disrespect the hell out of black women. They're like, oh nah, I'll never date a black girl. I don't want my kids to be black. I'm already black. I want my kids to be light skinned. All that stuff. Like, you could be that person right now, and be like, oh, like you could be like, oh, I don't want my kid to have curly hair. I don't want my kid to have a like bigger nose, something like that. Yeah. Like, that could be you right now. That really could be you right now. I mean, but, like, the fact that you did not become that person is, like, good. And almost a rare case, in a way. Because a lot of people fall down that hole of self-hate and they never get out.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's, like, it's crazy how much that can affect somebody and how much of their life that can impact.
And that's what I felt like. Also, because, I mean, probably since high school, you're not going to really hear this shit anymore as much. Where it's like, how is this programmed into kids to be doing this
it's terrible
at that age?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it carries on for so long.
Yeah, like,
and even if you don't, like, maybe when by the time you're like in maybe middle school, high school, you've learned not to say it anymore. But that shit is still in their heads most likely.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. So this is what I'm saying, right? Like, when you talk to people, you gotta realize that things that you say, like, it does affect them.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, we're not kids anymore. We're not in 7th grade anymore. But some people are still like this, right? Some people are still...
a frail mind.
Well, I mean... Yeah, some people are still sensitive, yeah. But also, I mean, some people still say these things, right? Like, it's not just like a kid thing.
Yeah.
Some people still say these things. Some people use, you know, being black, being white as an insult. Some people still look at you and see your color and, like, they really define that as your characteristics of like your whole character, everything like that, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, you gotta think about the things that you say to people, and the fact that they can affect them, and two, you don't know what other people have like experienced, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what if I didn't know? Like, what if you never told me that? And I just assumed I was like, you know what, he probably straight. And I just like railed on you with some like Jewish jokes, and like I wasn't being serious.
Yeah.
But like, what if this just like tapped in your mind? You like went right back to that moment or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know what people have experienced. I don't know what people have experienced. So like, you gotta just be like compassionate. You gotta like not be an asshole. And I don't know, man. Like just the fact that people say stuff like that in the first place is just terrible. But like, hey man, I don't even know. It's bad. Like, how do you like as a kid?
Well, I mean, basically what I'm saying is that this shit really does need to come to an end, because like just this negativity and notion of that.
Yeah.
And like, I guess we want to spread it because I mean, I can't say talk for everyone, but I don't feel like this definitely doesn't happen to everyone.
Yeah.
And to spread this to show that it can happen to black people and white people, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
That people need to understand that that's what happens. And the worst part is when, I mean, all of it's terrible, but even when it's in the same race, like if other black people calling you white and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like the belittling literally yourself.
It's facts.
Is like the worst on top of other people doing it. And especially in a time like this where we need to really be sticking together and stuff.
Yeah. No, that's 100% true. Especially, I wanted to say something like just specifically about black people. You know, like if you're out there and you think and you like, you always gotta question your preferences, right? We always talk about. I know this is like kind of off topic, but I want to throw this in real quick before we end. So like, self-hate, like I was saying, the self-hate that you had that didn't go, a lot of people it goes for them. It keeps going and it builds and it does all these things. So if you have had an experience like that, maybe just like just take a step back, be like, do I still harbor those feelings inside me today? And if I do, how are they impacting the different ways that I act, such as dating preferences? That's something that can impact you. So I don't know. I always say like, look, step back, look at like how these things are affecting you, and of course, like Peyton just said, we need to stop doing these things. Like, I mean, I don't know if anyone's out there like, or even our age or older. Like, if you're around have kids in the future, like make sure that this is something that like your kids know, and then like drilling your kids. That's the only way that like we talked about this so many times. That's the only way that these things like phase out or stop. You know, like if you're
having them get talked out.
Yeah, or just replacing generation with kids that know how to deal with these things. Like people who just stand up or just don't, and also don't be a bystander. Obviously, right? But all those people, right, that like you saying like laugh or like we're taking part of it. Like all the people are like part of it, and they carry much of the blame because they allow it to continue. Because usually, it's not that many radical people. It's usually one radical person and a bunch of people that like don't really say anything. So then it allows it to be inflated past its. And it's so many things, right? We usually want to get out here and share our experiences about this and just tell you guys, about a little bit about our experiences. So maybe you can take that into your life and make changes, or just to see what's going on. Just have a bigger picture of what's going on.
As always, guys, we want everyone to have a meaningful conversation, because the only way this world is going to get smarter and better is by having these conversations, talking about and sharing ideas, and being open to other people's ideas as well.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy. Stay tuned, because as always, we drop videos every single Monday morning. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.